All right, let's talk about the new rules for heart-healthy exercise. We're going to reframe how we approach heart health, especially if you're over 40. You know, what you thought was the gold standard for taking care of your heart? Well, it might be seriously due for an update. So let's just dive right in.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Are the rules you've been following to keep your heart in shape actually outdated? It's a real question we need to ask, because as our bodies change, the strategies we use to protect our most vital organ, they need to change too.
Okay, so let's get into these new rules for heart health. It's really time to swap out that old school thinking from our 20s for an approach that's a whole lot smarter, safer, and frankly, way more effective for where we are right now. So, the first big shift in thinking is this. The old way was all about just endless hours of cardio, right? Grinding it out on the treadmill. Well, the new, much smarter way is all about a balanced approach. It's not just about getting your heart rate up anymore. Strength training and flexibility are now seen as absolutely crucial pieces of the puzzle for a resilient heart. This is especially true as we get older and have to fight against natural muscle loss.
And the second huge change is about how hard we go. You know, we used to think every single workout had to be this all-out, maximum intensity blitz. But honestly, that's a recipe for burnout or even injury. The new rule is so much better. Consistency totally beats intensity. It's the regular, moderate exercise that you can actually stick with for the long haul that really, truly creates lasting change.
And you know, it goes beyond just the kind of exercise you do. The new rules are about the whole picture. For example, we now know that managing stress is completely non-negotiable because chronic stress literally harms your heart. And we have to know our numbers, things like blood pressure, not just go by how we feel. And maybe most importantly, we have to listen to our bodies. Taking a recovery day isn't being lazy. It's a vital, critical part of the process.
So, that all sounds great, but how do we actually put these new rules into practice? Well, it all comes down to a really simple framework. Let's call it the Heart Healthy Trio. It's all about building a complete and truly effective fitness plan.
So just think of it like building something in 3 layers. First, you've got to build your base with aerobic exercise. Second, you build a stronger engine for your body with strength training. And third, you build your long-term resilience with flexibility and stress reduction. Each one of these plays its own unique and super important role.
So let's start with that base layer, aerobic exercise, what most of us just call cardio. This is pretty much anything that gets your heart rate up. We're talking a brisk walk, a bike ride, going for a swim. The main job here is to strengthen your heart muscle itself, making it a much more efficient pump. And you know what that does? It helps lower your blood pressure. It's fundamental.
Okay, next up is strength training. And honestly, this is the often overlooked hero of heart health. See, as we get older, we naturally start to lose muscle, which really slows down our metabolism. So, by building that muscle back with weights or even just your body weight, you're not just getting stronger, you're actively boosting your metabolism and helping your body manage blood sugar way more effectively. Both of those are huge, huge wins for your heart.
And that brings us to the third and final pillar, flexibility and stress reduction. This is where that mind-body connection becomes so important. You see, things like yoga or Tai Chi, they don't just feel good. They actively work to calm your nervous system and lower those damaging stress hormones like cortisol. It's like protecting your heart from the inside out. But here's the thing. Even if you have the perfect workout trio, that's not enough by itself. Exercise is incredibly powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It exists inside this bigger ecosystem of lifestyle choices that we absolutely have to get right.
And a huge piece of that puzzle is the heart-healthy plate. And you know what? It's actually pretty simple. The goal is to fill half your plate with fruits and veggies, choose those good, healthy fats from things like avocado and olive oil, pick lean proteins, and always go for whole grains. It's so important to remember this. You just can't out-exercise a poor diet.
And this really hammers home that point about stress. This quote says it all, really. Chronic stress is a modern-day epidemic and a direct threat to your heart. Wow. That's why getting a handle on it isn't some luxury, right? It's a core component of your long-term wellness plan. It has to be.
Okay, so you're doing all this great stuff. You're exercising, you're eating right, you're managing stress, but how do you really know it's working? Well, this brings us to the final and I think most empowering piece of this whole thing, knowing and tracking your numbers.
Let's start with this number right here, 150. I want you to remember this number. Think of it as your North Star for exercise.
The goal, the real gold standard, is to get 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise every single week. That's totally achievable, it's sustainable, and it's incredibly effective.
Now, let's completely reframe how we think about health data. Forget about those scary medical reports from the doctor's office. I want you to think of this as your own personal dashboard. It's a tool that empowers you by showing you exactly how all your hard work is paying off in real, measurable ways.
So, what's on your dashboard? Well, you'll want to track a few key things. For blood pressure, ideally you want it to be below 120/80. A lower resting heart rate is a great sign that your heart is getting stronger and more efficient. And for cholesterol, you're really aiming for that good HDL number to be nice and high. Above 60 is the goal.
So if you don't remember anything else, let's just boil it all down to this. First, a balanced approach that combines cardio, strength, and flexibility is always going to be best. Second, your real superpower is consistency, not intensity. Third, remember that your overall lifestyle, your food, your stress levels is your best medicine. And finally, get to know your numbers so you can track all the amazing progress you're making.
So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. Forget about trying to overhaul your entire life overnight. That never works. Instead, just ask yourself this. What is one small, totally achievable change you'll commit to for your heart this week? Maybe it's just a 20-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's adding a vegetable to every meal. That one small step, that's how it all begins.